Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It's raining like torrential rain outside.
Cats and dogs.
Cats
that's what
and
you
dogs.
say.
Okay. And we went for a walk to try to read, but we got caught out in the rain. And here we are. So.
Alright, Canto 3, Chapter 29,
Gonna
text
finish
43.
the chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Alright. Text 43. Subject to the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sky allows outer space to accommodate all the various planets which hold innumerable living entities. The total universal body expands with its 7 coverings under his supreme control. Purport. It is understood from this verse that all the planets in outer space are floating and they all hold living entities. The word Swasatam means those who breathe or the living entities. In order to accommodate them, there are innumerable planets. Every planet is a residence for innumerable living entities, and the necessary space is provided in the sky by the supreme order of the Lord. It is also stated here that the total universal body is increasing. It is covered by 7 layers, and as there are 5 elements within the universe, so the total elements in layers covers the outside of the universal body. The first layer is of earth, and it is 10 times greater in size than the space within the universe. The second layer is water, and that is 10 times greater than the earthly layer. The third covering is fire, which is 10 times greater than the water covering. In this way, each layer is 10 times greater than the previous one. Interesting. All the different layers.
It's like a layer cake. Actually, if you picture like this, and then that's the space, inside the planet. Then there's earth, and then there's fire, and then it just gets bigger and bigger, and that goes all the way up. Well, this says 5, but actually, no, it says 7 layers, yes, because it's earth, water, fire, air, ether. Or is ether there? Maybe not. Mind, intelligence, and false ego. Anyway, there's the 7 layers. It doesn't mention all of them, but yeah, the last one is false ego, and that's the biggest layer. Okay, text 44. Out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the directing demigods in charge of the modes of material nature carry out the functions of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Everything animate and inanimate within this material world is under their control. Okay? So the demigods are in charge of the modes of material nature. Everything in the material world is under their control. They're kind of the department heads under the overall president or CEO, whatever. The 3 modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, are under the control of the 3 deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Lord Vishnu is in charge of the mode of goodness, Lord Brahma is in charge of the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva is in charge of the mode of ignorance. Similarly, there are many other demigods in charge of the air department, the water department, the cloud department, etc. Just as the government has different departments, so within this material world, the government of the Supreme Lord has many departments, and all these departments function in proper order out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A lot of fear discussed here at the end of this chapter. Demigods are undoubtedly controlling all matter, animate and inanimate within the universe. But above them, the supreme controller is the personality of Godhead. Therefore, in the Brahma Samhita, it is said, Ishvara Parama Krishna Undoubtedly, there are many controllers in the departmental management of this universe, but the supreme controller is Krishna. You going to read the next paragraph?
Oh, I thought you might want to enlighten us.
Nah. I think it's pretty self-explanatory that, as I said before, they're department heads. They take responsibility for their departments. But
Okay.
if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna Bhagavan, wants to intervene and make happen whatever he wants to happen, then he does.
Alright, next paragraph. There are two kinds of dissolutions. One kind of dissolution takes place when Brahma goes to sleep during his night. And the final dissolution takes place when Brahma dies. As long as Brahma does not die, creation, maintenance and destruction are actuated by different demigods under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is the big CEO. Brahma is like the deputy or vice president, and the demigods are the department heads, and we're the workers.
Best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to note here that there's two times of dissolution. We discussed this a little bit previously. So when Lord Brahma goes to sleep, so we hear about Lord Chaitanya appears once in a day of Lord Brahma. So during one day, which is not including the night, and I won't get into the numbers because I always get them wrong, but in one day of Lord Brahma, so much time passes. But then when the night comes, there's a dissolution, which means that the water and the cosmic and the Garbhodak ocean rise all the way up the lotus stem that Lord Brahma is on, up through the earthly plane, even some of the heavenly planets. And I think it's, of course, Brahmaloka is the top. That doesn't get inundated. Which is Swargaloka. And Tapaloka and Mahaloka, I think, don't get. So the planets of the great sages, I think those all stay. And of course, Dhruva Maharaj's planet doesn't get affected, because his is actually above Lord Brahma's. So like that. So there's a devastation of everything, which is when, like, Matsya Avatar appears. So Matsya Avatar appears, and there are different incarnations. That's why we have, just in one day of Lord Brahma, you can have so many different incarnations. But when there's a devastation, then those incarnations of the Lord that seem to appear at the time of some devastation, they manifest. Varaha Dev is another one who lifts the earth out of its inundation. Matsya Avatar comes. And also that would have been a time when, in the Bible, Noah's Ark, so the time when the earth is flooded with water, like that. So that kind of thing happens. Hare Krishna. So I'm reading the next one as well. Yeah. Text 45. The eternal time factor has no beginning and no end. It is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maker of the criminal world. The maker of the criminal world. Okay. It brings about the end of the phenomenal world. It carries on the work of creation by bringing one individual into existence from another. And likewise, it dissolves the universe by destroying even the Lord of Death, Yamaraj. Okay, that's powerful. So, Sanskrit, Sonanto Nitkara Kalo. Kalo means time. So, okay, purport. And this is the final purport of this chapter. Do you want to read it?
By the influence of eternal time, which is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Father begets a Son, and the Father dies by the influence of cruel death. But by time's influence, even the Lord of cruel death is killed. In other words, all the demigods within the material world are temporary, like ourselves. Our lives last for 100 years at the most. And similarly, although their lives may last for millions and billions of years, the demigods are not eternal. No one can live within this material world eternally. The phenomenal world is created, maintained, and destroyed by the finger signal of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, a devotee does not desire anything in this material world. A devotee desires only to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This servitude exists eternally. The Lord exists eternally. His servitor exists eternally, and the service exists eternally.
Thus end the Bhaktivedanta Purports of the third canto, 29th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled
Explanation of Devotional Service by Lord Kapila.
Any thoughts on your last purport?
This is some nice point that I forgot it now. Yeah, no one can live within this material world eternally. Just emphasizing, it puts things into perspective. Things we chase, things we get stressed over, things we try to avoid, things we try to not avoid, whatever. And you just think, and the thing is, I was thinking about this just the other day. So I was trying to think of a talk, like when I have mentee meetings, and I was thinking about this point, and I was going to stress that please don't assume because I'm the oldest person in this room I will kick the bucket for you. Not to sound horrible to anyone, but we don't know. You don't know. Don't make the assumption, which means how prepared are you? Because sometimes when we have youth on your side, it can be a disadvantage because you can just be easily manipulated by the material energy. More so than as you get older and withered and battered and bruised, and then you're like, yeah man, this ain't all it was, what I thought it was. I'm ready to go now.
Wow, man. Okay. What a way to conclude the chapter. So let's end on a positive note. This servitude exists eternally. That's bhakti. The Lord exists eternally. That's the Lord. And his servitor exists eternally. Bhakti, or bhakta. And service exists eternally. So that's the idea. So it's bhakta is a servitor. Bhakti is the service process, and the Lord, which is how we repose our service through. So these three things are eternal. And we're just reading a wonderful book now called Dharma also. Not sure if that's showing the right way, but we're reading this book called Dharma. We have this really nice thing with one of our mentorship groups where we just read 4 pages a day of a book, and we've been doing that now for coming up to 2.5 years. Right?
It started in the lockdown.
We started in like May, I think, of the lockdown or something, 2020. So coming up to 3 years, but 2.5 years. And we've read so many books. It's amazing just by reading 4 pages a day. No more. Everyone reads 4 pages, not together exactly. We don't read at the same time together, but each day we read. We have a little WhatsApp group, and devotees share their reflections. Just one simple, short, little 2 sentences, 3 sentences at the most, kind of thing. Just very brief, easily we've read like 10, 12, 15 books, something like that. So it's really amazing. But we're reading this one, and this morning we were reading, or at least one of the points that I recall was just, that this, the word dharma is that which sustains one's existence. So, and what is that for us? It's the principle of being a servant of God. That is the dharma, or the occupation of all living entities. We can call ourselves a postman, or an IT professional, a banker, a judge, a lawyer, a fireman, a policeman, whatever you want, but our actual real dharma, or swadharma, is that we're all spiritual beings, eternally connected with Krishna through a mood of service. So that's who we really are. And I really appreciated what you were saying about, before it went really dark, about how, it really puts into perspective how few things in this world that we get worked up about are really actually important.
Mm-hmm.
They just all come to pass, in the famous words of George Harrison,
Good things.
not just all things.
Oh.
Not good or bad, they all come to pass,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
gosh, if we could just remember that. And there's the famous story of, I think it's King Solomon's ring. And the king eventually finds this ring that can make you happy when you're sad and make you sad when you're happy. And the inscription in the ring that you read to effect this transformation is that this too shall pass. So when we're really ecstatic and we think, oh, this is also going to pass, then like that. And when we are in a bummed out mood and things are just not going, then we have to remember, this too shall pass. I remember Jai Waitramaraj saying once in a class, I somehow never forgot, that he said, when things are going good, we should start to worry. And when things are going bad, we should be very happy, because it's only a matter of time before it's all over. So all things come to pass in this material world, even for the great devatas, the great demigods like Yamaraj, as this purport brings up. What to speak of for the rest of us. So, we should prepare ourselves. We should take time to prepare ourselves, our consciousness, our relationship based on that eternal Bhakta, the Lord, the Bhakta, and Bhakti. So those three things are all eternal, and that's what we should be focusing on.
Amen.
Thank you, sister. Okay, so I think we can finish there. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.